this one is the worst figure this week. This Charybdis is 18,000 yen and she is sitting on something that resembles a chair too. And the next figure is not too different in the sense that you're getting a 1/7 scale figure and a bench, and this is almost 30,000 yen. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven. For today, we will be taking a look at figures on pre-order between 10th to 16th of December 2023. So as the year approaches the end, I think the number of figures going on pre-order are becoming lesser and lesser. Okay, because they need to close the accounts and stuff, all the accounting work at the end of each year. Okay, now we shall move on to genuine figures first as usual on Hobby Link Japan, and I have picked the figures I want to cover. Well, this week there are only two interesting scale figures personally for me, right? And I have already pre-ordered one of them. Okay, the first one here, 1/7 scale Delicious in Dungeon, Marcel Donato, adding color to the dungeon. Almost 25,000 yen by Good Smile, coming out in December next year, a year away. Delicious in Dungeon, is this a seasonal anime? I remember sawing an anime title where they are focusing on food, right? Like how good the food stuff are, and then coming up with new dishes, but they are all in an isekai setting. I think there were 2 seasons. I did not watch it. I wonder if this is where she came from. As for character design, or even the very fact that if this was actually a seasonal anime, I'm actually quite surprised by how Good Smile decided to come up with a 25,000 yen skill figure. But if this was a game, then maybe that is less of a surprise, right? And this figure over here, it just screams generic isekai RPG game, right? I mean, 95% of RPG games have characters like this in some form, and I love this thing for being so colorful, but it isn't my kind of figure, despite that amazing base, because this figure reminds me of something I'm not a fan of, and it is Disney, right? I don't know, man. I mean, you look at these animals over here, and then this pumpkin head with a face on it. Yeah, reminds me of Disney stuff in some way, and that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I have never been a fan of this Disney stuff, even when I watched their cartoons since I was a kid. Maybe except for stuff like Kim Possible, then the rest, I'm not really a big fan of it. Yeah, but for 25k, a figure like this is actually not too bad of a price. Moving on to the next one, we have a couple of figures from BNHA, pretty expensive ones by Proof, 1/7 scale Ochako Uraraka Uraviti version, coming out in September year 2024. Okay, the one thing with this Ochako figure over here is like my first initial impression. Between the first 3 seconds I looked at a photo of this figure, I was looking for the face, like where is her head, where is her face, because it looks a bit cluttered and messy to me. Yeah, there has been so many Ochako figures already, way too many, and these effect parts and stone base, rock base, they are nothing new, right? Everyone is doing it, but specifically for this version, I like the effort they have put into making this figure, but it can look a bit messy in some way. Yeah. Once again, I'm not a fan of those text effect parts float, but I think this is the art style of the anime, right? Yeah, they're just following the art style. And if there is one thing I really like is all those floating debris, but in the end, as an entire package, it looks kind of messy over here. If you were to buy this figure, which I do think it is an amazing looking figure, you need to display this on the lower section of a shelf, right? I think it deserves a lower place on a shelf, just because if you look at the figure from the top, you can enjoy most of the figure, her body and everything else in terms of the details. So some figures you need to display high up, some you need to display it lower. Oh, this shot over here is quite amazing. Okay, moving on to the next one from BNHA, we have Katsuki Bakugo, Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. That sounds so Junibyo to me. Okay, 26,500 yen. This one is also messy, but it doesn't feel as distracting as Ochako earlier. Maybe because Ochako is doing a backflip. That is part of the reason, I think. I think my comments for this figure would be very similar to Ochako earlier. After all, they have a very similar aesthetic. Messy but can appeal to some people. It depends on your personal taste in collecting figures. And you're getting two faceplates, one with a, not exactly blindfolds, more like a mask, and one without. 27k is a bit on the pricey side, but given the entire package, I think I can understand that, right? Okay, let's move on to the next figure over here. This is a re-release, and I think this is either the second or the third re-release already, which shows you how popular Skahak is in FGO. 1/7 scale Lancer Skahak from FGO. This is 1/7 scale by PM Office A. So Plum has rebranded themselves into the Prime Minister's office. Okay, coming out in April 2023, which is really fast, right? It is taking them only 4 months to get this one out from pre-order. And I think this figure is pretty infamous by now for the wrong reasons, because the very first release from many years ago, either early 2010s or mid 2010s, I think it was mid 2010s, where a lot of people received this figure with a broken head or broken neck because the hair was way too heavy, and then the neck was, it was very fragile and thin. And this isn't the only figure with this problem. My Kotobukiya Caster Anastasia has the same problem as well. And then there is Kyuskyo's Elizabeth Battery Brave version, where she arrives with a broken tail. Many people had that problem as well. However, from what I'm aware of, this very same figure of Skahak, in the eventual re-release a couple of years later, the broken neck issue, the weak neck issue has been fixed already, and now they are re-released the same thing again. So I don't think you have to worry too much if you were considering to pick up this figure. This figure is not rare at all, not in China at least, so I'm quite surprised to see this figure being re-released when she is cheap as hell in China in Taobao. She is everywhere, you can find one in Taobao easily, and it is not very expensive. You can find one for 500 to 600 Chinese yuan, right? I don't think there are any leftover stock from the very first release 5-7 years ago already. If you come across one online, it is most likely from the very recent release about a year or two ago. 13,000 yen is pretty cheap, so might as well pick up one if you do not mind Plum's quality. Personally, in terms of the pose, I prefer Plum's pose a lot more over the Kyuskyo version. But the Kyuskyo version is better in paint quality. So you pick your poison or you go for both, right? I already have the Kyuskyo version, but I am still interested in buying the Plum version given that she doesn't cost too much. Moving on to the next one, from Bocchi the Rock, we have a 1/7 scale Ryo Yamada, going for 14,364 yen, December 2024 release. Okay, so Good Smile needs 1 year to get this simple figure out, and I thought Hitori Goto was 1/6, right? Or was it 1/7? I think my memory is incorrect. If this one is 1/7, then Goto has to be 1/7. All the while, I assumed it was 1/6. But anyways, 1 year to get something this simple out. It kind of shows you that Good Smile is making way too many figures. They really need to chill and slow down, but this is the problem with capitalism in general. Like, your goals, your target for each year has to surpass the previous year. And you will eventually reach a point where it is no longer sustainable. They just keep looking for positive improvements everywhere over every year. I believe it is something you'll face at work as well, no matter what field you work in, what career you have. Your boss will aim for higher targets year over year, and then you'll reach a point where it is no longer possible. Moving on to the next one, from Persona 3 Reload, Kotobukiya 1/8 skill, Elizabeth. Okay, 16,450 yen after a small discount, coming out in June next year. 6 months only. Kotobukiya gets their figure out really fast, I think. Like, they operate at a way larger scale than pretty much almost every other figure brands out there. Persona, I mean, so many figures from this franchise as well. Maybe not at the level of Azur Lane, but still a lot. And I think the best thing about Persona is that their figures don't cost a lot, no matter which character, unless you go for third parties. Yeah, a lot of the figures don't exceed the 25,000 yen mark. That is one thing I've noticed actually. This one, I'm not a fan of her hairstyle, man. This is that bowl cut where your mom will put a bowl on her head and then just cut it like that. It is a meme. It is a joke online, this kind of haircut. But to see an anime character with this haircut, sometimes they do a good job and make the character look more attractive than what the haircut actually suggests if you do it in real life, you know? Oh, this is a nice touch, but I wonder how fragile this would be. Overall, a really good package for 16,500 yen, but I can already tell from these pictures, no shading in the paintwork, right? After all, this is Art FX series. They are not high-end stuff. Moving on to the next one. Oh, fortunately, it is no longer No Nuts November, right? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people out there actually, they do jerk off, they do jack to figures like this, you know? There are people out there who do that. And they are extra intense when it is a lolly character. 1x4 scale Higurashi, when they cry, we have Rika Furude Bunny version, 28,200 yen only. Yeah, that is a great price for a 1x4 scale, but she is a small character, right? So this is no surprise, the pricing. And I'm not sure how to feel when you have a cute smiling girl at you, but she is holding a knife in her right hand. Okay, can be adorable yet creepy at the same time. I'm quite surprised that they chose white color for her bunny suit though. Yeah. Oh, I see. White and black. Alright. I like Rika a bit more, I think, between these two, but either ways, both of them look great together, and if you were to pick up 1x4 scales of these two characters, I mean, it is only 2 characters, not 5, not 9. So go for both if you want to collect this set over here, because when they do get re-released, the stockings are gone already. Next one, 1x7 scale Shinigami from Master Detective Archives Raincoat, almost 22,000 yen. Coming out in June, just 6 months away. Now, for a figure with a fairly sophisticated pose, I'm not sure if I can call this sophisticated, like this kind of floating pose while the figure is lying down with the dress acting as the main support. This has been done to death already. It is very common. And for this figure to cost only 22,000 yen, I'm not sure if I should be surprised because this doesn't look easy to manufacture, but at the same time, we are looking at Kotobukiya, right? Yeah, black color, I don't think we'll see much shading, but the details you'll get on this figure would be mostly on the decal work on her dress, right? Yeah, all those texture, all those floral patterns on her dress, they're all decal work. So they don't really need to do much shading on the paintwork to begin with. They only need to do that for the hair, which is very obvious over here. So my prediction for this figure, yeah, she will turn out great like most Kotobukiya figures do, and the only area can find shading in is the paintwork on the hair. Kind of amazing, isn't it, that 30,000 yen plus figures are not as common in the recent months? Yeah. Moving on to the next one, also by Kotobukiya, 1x7 scale Miss Marvel renewal package. Okay, so this has to be a re-release of some kind, but they made some small changes, so they're calling it renewal package version for 16,000 yen, coming out in June as well. So they need only 6 months, Kotobukiya. Not a fan of this one. It feels like a generic superhero character, you know, and I can't even tell if this is Miss Marvel at all. Of course, I am not familiar with the comics, like the actual comic origin of these characters. I only watch those Hollywood production movies. So I don't know what the original Miss Marvel looks like in the comics, right? Yeah, this looks a bit too generic to me. Generic superhero character, so I am not a fan of this one. Moving on to the next one, we have Yuki Mikan, everyone's favorite immortal. Well, second favorite behind Yosugano Sora, Kasugano Sora. Okay, from To Love Go, Darkness. Okay, 18,000 yen by Union Creative. They don't really mention the scale, but these are pretty large figures. They're somewhere between 1/7 to 1/6, so they are great purchases as long you like the nurse outfit, right? They're making a nurse version for every single figure in this series over here, and To Love Go is an evergreen title. It just never dies. Figure brands keep making figures of them. Yeah. If you don't like this one, there are like a dozen different options out there for you to choose from. Up next, this is probably the best selling figure for those on pre-order this week in any figure website. Fischl from Genshin Impact. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. I don't know how to pronounce German words. But anyways, going for almost 26,000 yen at 1/7 scale, a figure by Alter. Moreover, pre-order it. You won't regret it. I have already pre-ordered mine. Yes, I've already hit the pre-order button. For someone who does not pre-order figures that often, I am normally not a fan of effect parts, but I have no issues displaying this figure with the effect part surrounding her. What I don't like about them is when I'm doing photography, especially in a diorama where anything that is abstract, flames, fire, lightning, and so on, they look terrible when they are being solidified as a solid object in photographs, right? But other than that, yeah, that metal rod, which is inevitable because they need to display that, whatever that is called, a raven, I call it a raven. But that metal rod is right behind the figure, and if you adjust the angle properly when you take photos of this figure, I think, yeah, it will look fine despite that metal rod over there. I'm not a fan of it, but what kind of solutions do you have for that, right? I don't think so. I don't think there are any other ways to display that bird, flying bird over there, unless you have a giant base, a giant diorama at the back, and then you support the bird from behind, but that would inflate this figure to 35 or 40,000 yen. And I don't think many people would want that, so I understand. Anyways, this is a must-have, and the best part about this figure is you are getting two faceplates. Yeah. So do you prefer this smiling face or the other one where she seems to be a bit more dramatic in her face expression? Yeah, this one, I'm not sure yet. I need to see the figure in person because both of them looks good to me. Yeah. Moving on to the next one, 1/4 scale Black Heart from Hyper Dimension Neptunia, Barrelic Bunny version. So this is sort of a re-release with the stockings removed for 25,400 yen, coming out in July next year. With Hyper Dimension Neptunia, I mentioned it last week when Purple Heart went on pre-order. Yeah, the 1/4 scale bunny girls are pretty underwhelming. I would go for the more majestic looking ones, epic looking ones from other brands despite being 1/7 scale, you know. I do have the Alter 1/7 for this one. Yeah, the one that looks like half Mecha Musume, half Gundam, but half Black Heart. I loved that one. Never reviewed it on this channel because, yeah, I bought that figure way back then when this channel was even a thing. And the Alter version, Black Heart, is certainly way better than Purple Heart. Yeah. As for this figure, if you are a 1/4 scale collector, yeah, re-releases in general, they are great purchases because of how cheap they are, as long as you don't mind how simple and boring they may look. Moving on to the next one, this is also among the best figures this week together with that Genshin figure earlier. 1/7 scale Charybdis from Azur Lane, Red Chamber of Healing. Okay, 18,000 yen by Good Smile. This is just amazing for 18,000 yen. I have no idea what happened. It feels like all figure brands out there, regardless of which one we're looking at, they have figured out a way to make figures cheaper, and then they're passing on the savings to consumers. This figure, I mean, even without that traditional bed, Chinese bed she is sitting on, even without that thing, you just give us a very generic brick or something for her to sit on, a plastic block, and they ask for 18,000 yen without this base over here. I think that would have been still reasonable. So to see this entire package for 18k, man, I think we are living in the golden era of anime scale figures. the quality may not be at the level from 10 years ago, where pretty much anything expensive comes out pretty much perfect. But in terms of the value proposition over here, yeah, I think we are in the golden age of anime figures. This is a must buy for Azur Lane fans. 18,000 yen only. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one is the worst figure this week. Yeah, it is the worst figure for me this week. And that 30,000 asking price, it is just overpriced for what you're getting, you see. I mean, just the figure right before her, this Charybdis is 18,000 yen and she is sitting on something that resembles a chair too. And the next figure is not too different in the sense that you're getting a 1/7 scale figure and a bench, and this is almost 30,000 yen. But I suppose that this is Prisma Wing and Prime 1 Studio, so they always charge a premium for their stuff, but not worth it in my opinion. So this is Shikimori-san from Shikimori. Is not just a cutie, a seasonal anime for 30,000 yen coming out in November next year. And the reason why I think this is the worst figure this week, it is not just the pricing, you see. I think there is a serious problem with the face of this figure. Okay. Before that, about that bench, she is leaning against. You know, you can find a plastic bench which is around this size, about around 1/8 to 1/7 scale from Taobao for literally $1 to $2. It is an accessory for Barbie dolls, right? Of course, this is something painted. It is going to cost more, but that bench alone is not a reason to inflate the figure's price from approximately 15 to 18,000 yen all the way up to 30k. That bench isn't worth much, right? Barbie furniture, they don't have a bench like that cost less than $10. Even the unpainted plastic one that is really pink in color, they cost like less than $2. So that is one thing to think about. And then the worst part, the absolute worst part of this figure is the face. There is something really wrong with it. Let's look for the photo of this figure close up. Yeah. There are two face plates, I think. This one still looks fine. Yeah, but from this angle, you see, the previous angle over here, she looks fine from this angle. But when you turn the figure around, I don't know if this is an illusion created by her hair, but it feels like her eyes are slightly misaligned from this angle over here. But we'll check out the other face expression over here. Yeah, yes, from this angle. See, you turn the figure around a bit, it is starting to look really weird from this angle. I'm not sure if this is a case of converting 2D to 3D, where some figures, they only look good from a very specific angle, and then you turn it around, it starts looking really weird. So it might not be necessarily the eye alignment, but more of a case of problems related to converting 2D art to 3D. I think this one looks a bit better. This one looks a bit better. It is this face expression which can look really weird from some angles. But even if we exclude the face problems over here, for 30,000 yen, this isn't worth it at all, right? I still can't recommend this one. Yeah. Okay, so we get a different angle for this face plate over here. Yeah, I think this one looks a bit better than the smiling face plate. Okay, the next three figures, they are sort of adult stuff, but you can still display them safely because they are still covered by default. Okay, the first one here, Bakunyu Ushi Musume Mega Ushio Strawberry Milk version. Okay, so this one is by Lacquery, 22,400 yen, approx, coming out in June next year. Well, this figure is like, no, there is nothing nice going on with this figure. The face expression is quite nice though. Okay, this is the face expression. The face expression, I do love it, but you look at her hair, right? It is just flat blue color, flat baby blue. There is no shading whatsoever, and the same can be said for pretty much the entire figure. Yeah, so it is just flat paintwork, but I totally expect this from Lacquery. Lacquery is an average to below average figure company. Their stuff are not outstanding in any way, but at least they are quite affordable. So if you want a huge figure for 22k only, then maybe pick one up. But for me, I can't recommend this one simply because, well, there are better looking figures out there if you want edgy figures, right? The scale is not mentioned over here, but this should be close to 1/6 scale. Lacquer figures, they are quite big. Moving on to the next one over here, this is one of my favorite, well, edgy figures this week, right? 1/6 scale Barney Stein Fantasy Celica Barney Bikini version by 39 Nasu. This one was revealed in Wonder Festival just a few months ago. Do you have any idea how badly I want this figure? I am not a fan of the body proportion. To me, Supersonico is the maximum I would handle with bust size. This is a bit excessive to me, but at the same time, I am liking this figure so much as a work of art. The sculpture is really nice, and do you know what's the best part of this figure? It is the face expression, right? Okay, let me bring up the face over here. Oh, that face is sweet. I like the face expression so much, and you know, those eyes with a love shape in the middle. This is something you'll see in H anime a lot nowadays, especially NTR team and so on. Even if this is from a brand I've never heard of, 39 Nasu, I'm suspecting that is the name of the artist behind this figure and the original artwork. Personally, I don't care. 1/6 scale, 23,000 yen, which is really cheap for a 1/6 scale, and given that this is an artwork figure, there is a high chance of the figure becoming expensive after release. I think I want to pre-order one. I'm not in a hurry to hit the pre-order button like right now. I need to think this over, think about it for 1 or 2 days, 2 or 3 days, but I think I have to pre-order one before the value goes up, right? You need to remember this isn't something from FGO or a seasonal anime, right? This is an original art figure. They have very limited quantities and they almost never get re-released. So if you want one, pre-order it, right? So I think I'm leaning towards pre-ordering this figure after I think things over. Moving on to the next one over here, original character again by Hobby Sakura, 1/7 scale wife. Wouldn't it be great if you can find a wife like that, right? This is MILF material and I'm not going to scroll because it is a bit questionable, the pictures. Deluxe version, 22,700 yen and 1/7 scale, which is still relatively reasonable. And if you are not interested in the wall scroll, then you can get her for cheaper, 20,000 yen only. And you know, after I posted this figure on my Facebook page, yeah, it was really popular for something which is just plain black dress, right? People loved her and I did receive some pre-orders through my affiliate links. So this figure is actually pretty popular. Will it become rare after release? I'm not too sure because this is Hobby Sakura, a Chinese figure brand. And so far, I have yet to see Chinese figure brand stuff becoming extremely rare after release, right? So it could go either way. My prediction is you can find her easily in Taobao in China, but in the Japanese market, yes, there is a likelihood of her becoming rare and expensive after release. It depends on where you get her from. And the next one, okay, the next 3 figures, I have already covered them last week, so I'm not going to repeat things again. This Prince Eugen figure is now on HLJ, can pre-order it here for way cheaper than Ami Ami. Almost 22,000 yen only. Like, this is amazing price for a 1/7 scale. 22k for all the base and the flag. This is excellent value. And then the next one over here, this figure of Mihiro Sasho Bani, which was not on Japanese websites yet last week. It was on OSGK, 1/4 scale, 26k. Good price for 1/6 scale. For 1/4 scale, I mean. Even though this may be just plain black bunny, I mentioned it last week as well. But if you love 1/4 scales, you want a cabinet of 1/4 scales, yes, 26k is a good purchase. And then lastly, this figure of Takao from Azur Lane, yeah, it was on OSGK last week. It only started pre-order in Japanese websites this week. 15,000 yen only. I'm still not a fan of it, right? To me, this doesn't represent Takao as an Azur Lane character, but for 15k, if you're looking for high quality scale figures but not wanting to pay too much, this is worth picking up for sure. And then the next few figures, they are all low-cost figures. We start off with Pop-Up Rate, Nagisa Shiota from Assassination Classroom, 4,000 yen. I think I did not even finish watching this anime. It was crazy popular back then. I stopped halfway, like episode 12 or something. Assassination Classroom, there are no skill figures out there. Not of these male characters. So if you want one, this is your only option. The next one, also from Assassination Classroom, we have Karma Akabane for 4,000 yen too. And typically for male characters, they are not as detailed as the female ones in the pop-up raid series. But regardless, if you want a figure of this series of characters from this anime, then you don't have an option. This is the only one, I think. Is there even a figure of Karma or just now Nagisa? I don't think so, right? Yeah. I think it is very likely at this point where Good Smile will make every character from Assassination Classroom. These are just the first two. And then the next one here from Tanital by Fuyu, low cost figure. This figure of Jess from Butareba is looking magnificent, right? It is quite hard to believe this thing is under 5,000 yen because her dress appears to be quite detailed. And I feel like I'm looking at Saber. Right, Saber's training outfit in the dojo, white top and blue color dress, right? Yeah, this is quite outstanding for a figure under 5,000 yen, and I would be lying if I were to say I'm not interested, right? I haven't watched this anime yet, not even episode 1, even though there was quite a bit of hype surrounding it because the main character got reincarnated as a pig. The problem with these low-cost figures, right, is that you say that it is cheap, so why not get one? And then you repeat the same sentence for the next 10 figures you come across, and then in the end, you end up spending a lot as well. Yeah. The next pop-up raid over here, Ruri Hoshino from Martian Successor Nadeshiko, which is a classic. And I wasn't expecting a character like this from a classic to get a re-release, which shows you I know nothing about the Japanese figure market. Like what the people there want and what we want outside of Japan. They can be very different. But I like the color scheme. This is really nice, right? Blue color hair and then orange color vest. Yeah, color contrast, color theory. That is why this figure stands out so much in the color scheme. It is always the color combination that makes a difference. Of course, there are no other options if you want figures from this anime series. Moving on to the next one, Figure Arts Zero. We have Super Fierce Battle Trafalgar Lord Captain Onigashima Monster Battle. Oh, this is a re-release, okay, for 8,000 yen by Bandai. To me, I feel like I'm looking at a One Piece character. That is it. I know nothing otherwise, right? And half of the figure cost has to go to that base, right? This looks like something third-party resin figure brands would do. The next one, Kotobukiya Arts FXJ as well. 1x8 skill, Toji Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen, 15,400 yen. Quite difficult to say no to figures like this for those of you who collect Jujutsu Kaisen or JK. Like, they are extremely affordable. And Kotobukiya in general, they do a great job. I feel like I'm repeating the same thing every week, man, but it is what it is. You know, in these pictures where the figure looks really great and very detailed, this is all studio lighting, you see. This is light from two different directions from an angle. Yeah, from this upper left and lower right. So you get this shadow in the middle. It makes the figure looks really detailed. And it really highlights the sculpting on the figure. But the paintwork on this thing, yeah, it is very flat. I don't see any shading at all. So photography is something very important to make people want to buy your stuff. Yeah. And the last figure for today on HLJ, also the most expensive, Mappa and DesignCoco Shibuya Incident Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, 48,000 yen. Expensive, yes, very expensive, but when you look at the entire package, I think it is easy to understand why, right? This is possibly the best Satoru Gojo figure out there for a price, and not because of all those undeads or skeletons surrounding him, but I think this is the most appropriate setup you can have for this character because, yeah, he is now 6 feet under, or that is what I heard. Okay. This is amazing. I would rather you buy this over that 30,000 yen Prime 1 Studio figure earlier, Shikimori-san. This is so much nicer. You need to remember, DesignCoco is the brand that is selling us a 14,000 yen Senbon Sakura Hatsune Miku figure. You see, they are able to make a figure so cheap. So, if they are pricing a figure this high, so much, it has to be something special, right? And I'm not sure if the base, whatever he is sitting on, has any LED inside. I'm fine without it, but if there is one, that makes this figure all the more worth it if you can afford one. Yeah. Up next, we have two Toho figures from Fischl, and they are not exclusives, just that HLJ has not listed them on pre-order yet. We might see them over there on Monday. Okay, Toho Project Flanger Scarlet Komajo Densetsu version 1x8 scale from Fischl, 21,300 yen. That is a huge price cut, down from 25k. Okay, no wonder this is so cheap. I mean, the discounted price, of course. Because this is 1x8 scale, I would have preferred it in 1x7, you know. Wow. Look at the paintwork surrounding her dress. The very edges, all the color grading over there. I love that. I love that so much. The same thing can be said for the spear. You see, there has been so many amazing Toho figures over the past decade, and I'm still impressed at myself for resisting them all the time. But if I had to pick one, I think I'll go for the Chinese brand. The one, what was the name again? The brand that they are making 1x6 scales, and they cost like 33,000 yen each. Yeah, this is still a good buy. I don't have any problems with Fischl figures at all. The same can be said for the next one, but this one is kind of boring. Yeah, kind of uninspiring compared to Flanger Scarlet earlier. This is Sakura Izayoi Komajo Densetsu version, just under 16,000 yen. Different art style, right? Very different from other Toho figures. Man, this is so skinny. Reminds me of Triple X Holic. Anyone of you out there who knows Triple X Holic? Something really old from the mid-2000s? Yeah, this is really skinny. Anorexia nervosa. The next two figures, they are Ami exclusives. You can't find it anywhere else, maybe except for Ninin game. This is also one of the most overpriced figures this week. I can't decide whether this one is more overpriced or the one by Prime 1 Studio is more overpriced. This is pretty bad at 1x7 scale, 27,000 yen. Seriously, this is way too much for a simple figure with a simple base. But Mega House, Bandai, and moreover, Macross Frontier. Something old. I think Macross Frontier was from year 2007. So they are trying to rip off the rich working adults as usual. That is something Bandai is really good at. I can't recommend this at all. No. I don't have any problems with figures made by Mega House, but they have a serious issue with their pricing. And at the same time, yeah, I feel I'm looking at vegetables in some way, or cabbage. There was one holo figure from Spice and Wolf, which made me feel the same way. Man, the photos are so bright, man. No, can't recommend this at all. I think Good Smile has a really nice figure of Rankali and Cheryl Nome. Not cheap. No, they were not cheap, right? But they were way better than what Mega House is offering over here. And the next one over here, Ami exclusive. Overlord Clementine 1x7 scale by Fat Company, 28,000 yen. Yes, very expensive, but what can you do about it? Because it is exclusive, right? So they can price it really high if they wanted to. This is also pretty overpriced, right? So top 3 overpriced figure this week would be this Clementine and Rankali and just now Shikimori-san. But to me, this Clementine over here is the best looking one of the bunch. Yeah, this is the best looking one. The only problem is, yeah, you have guessed it, Fat Company. And their quality control. Yep. I have no idea why Fat Company keeps giving Ami all these exclusive contracts. If you want to sell more of the products, you shouldn't be doing this. Nope. This is going to sell really well despite the price tag. I'm liking the figure a lot for the sculpting. I mean, look at those abs around her waist. I like it so much. The sculpting is really on point over here. The only question remaining is how Fat Company will handle the paint job. I'm a bit salty that Ami got the exclusive on Florence as well. The PA-15 from Girls France Line, but the futuristic one, yeah. Okay, and moving on to Nin Game, we have something exclusive. Plum Shop exclusive. Okay, Inda Karane from that 100 Girlfriend anime. If you haven't watched this anime, right, you need to watch it. You really need to watch it. It is hilarious AF, right? I haven't watched an anime that funny in a long time. That anime has no logic at all, but that is the beauty of it. You need to watch it, right? As for this girl Indan Karane, or what's the name again? Inda Karane. No, she is not my favorite girl of the series. I prefer the pink hair girl, or even the lolly, you know, but not Inda Karane because I absolutely dislike tsunderes, especially in real life. I mean, imagine talking to a real woman and that woman is not telling you the truth every time she opens her mouth because she is a so-called tsundere and you are being made to play mind games with her all the time. I absolutely... I really hate that, right? I like people who are straightforward and they just speak out what they think. I prefer it that way. I don't like playing mind games. Anyways, back to the figure. Yeah, the thing is that if you get that pink color hair girl over there, you're going to need Inda Karane as well. They sort of go together as a set, unfortunately. And this figure is not yet on pre-order, coming soon, I think sometime next week. $178 US, so that should be around 25,000 yen or so, which is pretty expensive. Yeah, pretty expensive for what you are getting. Yeah, the base is cool and all, but 25k still feels a bit pricey. But given that this is an exclusive, hey, what do you expect? You know, I wanted to say I can't recommend this, but I'm feeling a bit conflicted. Like, I'm not sure whether to recommend it or not because on one hand, 25,000 yen is a bit too pricey for this figure, but at the same time, I would like to encourage figure brands to take up more figures, more characters from seasonal anime, not to just focus on the big game titles because it is getting way too much, you know. So to tell you guys not to buy it is a bit counterproductive. Yeah. Anyways, in the end, it depends on whether you like the anime so much that you don't mind paying for her or not. And that is all for genuine figures on pre-order this week. I only liked that Genshin Impact figure, which I already pre-ordered. And the second one would be that 39 Nasu original character. Yeah, which I want one as well. Now, moving on to third-party resin figures on OSGK for this week, which is also our affiliate partner. Not many figures on pre-order this week, a bit more than last week, but still not many. And I have read a lot of comments in my video post. You guys wanted to know updates from that authorities thing in China where they are going after sexy anime figures, right? So far, I have not seen many figures being cancelled yet. There were 1 or 2 figures which I posted on my figure page on Facebook. They got cancelled. Like OSGK, they removed the page for that particular figure. I think one was a Nikkei figure, which was 100% completely nude, right? But other than that, I don't remember seeing any other being cancelled yet. So you might want to hold on your pre-order for a longer while, right? Maybe they'll delay the release, but I don't see many of them getting cancelled yet. In fact, for this week's figure pre-order, we are getting something really X-rated, really lewd from Genshin Impact, though just one single figure, that Yaemiko is completely nude. So, as it seems, these figure brands, they don't care, right? Maybe they have a way of getting around all this policing by authorities in China. So, I would advise, don't panic yet. There was one guy who said that a local figure distributor in his own country, a local seller, has cancelled all of his pre-orders, which is kind of drastic. That is crazy and I feel bad for him. But that is only the one single incident I've heard so far, and it was from a local distributor, a local figure shop in his own country. For big stores like this, Favor GK, FNC, and even OSGK, I have not seen any mass cancellations yet. And don't jump the gun. Don't go and cancel a pre-order, right? Maybe they will be delayed, but not outright cancelled. Yeah. Okay. So back to today's figure. Wow. Someone smashed some glass behind me. Okay, alright, moving back to figures on pre-order this week, we'll start off with super deformed figures. The first four are SD stuff. Okay, with this Q version Raiden Shogun over here, normally I'm not a fan of these super deformed figures. Some people love them because they are so adorable, you know. But this one over here, it looks really good. I myself am quite attracted to it, right? 86 US dollars is kind of pricey for something about this size, you know. What is the height of this figure? 13 centimeters, yeah. So she is a bit taller than Nendoroids. And 86 bucks feels like it is a lot for it, but I have already received pre-orders for this figure, so obviously people like it. And I can see why. This is adorable and this is quite detailed for super deformed figure. I suppose that the price is kind of justified. Yeah. We only have 3 pictures over here, but I think we can see a lot already of this figure. Okay, moving on to the next one. Also from CR Studio, Yoimiya for 94 US dollars. This is also really nice. Yeah. Pretty detailed, right? This is way more detailed than a regular Nendoroid. This feels like a premium Nendoroid in a way. Yeah. Of course, I would rather spend 94 US dollars on a lower cost scale figure like, you know, just now that Plum Scarhawk figure. Yeah, 13,000 yen was closer to 90 plus US dollars. It is under 100 US dollars. So I would personally rather buy something like that. That is my personal taste anyway. But this one, quite nice too. And then moving on to the next one, QD Studio Hu Tao, 126. Wow. Oh, I see. This is actually $100. $126 if you want this thing as well, which I think is optional, right? You can make do without this thing and save 26 bucks. Yeah. So this Hu Tao looks great too. Pretty detailed for a super deformed figure. Now let's take a look at the pictures over here. Oh, this is so dark. Okay. So this is the third super deformed figure. The fourth one from Geomi Studio. We have Kamisato Ayaka for 80 US dollars and we only have 1 picture so far. Among these 4, which one is my favorite? Raiden Shogun. Yeah. Yoimiya is not too bad either, but Raiden Shogun is the best looking one among these 4. The next one, this is an early bird pre-order. We don't even have a prototype picture yet. Yaemiko from Genshin Impact Art of Eden Studio. Okay, no price yet. And wow, I feel like I'm looking at Caster, what's the name again? Caster Tamamo from FGO. Okay, this looks great, this looks promising. And Art of Eden Studio, I don't know much about their figures yet, but they have a lot of stuff on pre-order and some might have already been released at this point. So go and check out user pictures in Discord in the Reddit group, subreddit Anime GK. I think if you are interested in third-party resin figures like this, right, you really need to join Facebook groups or Discord groups or the subreddit r/AnimeGK. This is where you get feedback from people who buy these figures and then they actually post product pictures. If they're unhappy with something, they post it. So that is the best place to be in if you are interested in these figures. Up next, we have Anya from Spy Family by Coco Studio. Coco Studio, I'm surprised it isn't Waku Waku Studio. Okay, 98 US dollars. Generic Anya figure. I can't recommend this one. I mean, just go and check out Anya figures from Waku Waku Studio. They have so many variations, so many choices, and you might like some of them even. Yeah, this one feels a bit generic for 98 bucks, which is a lot of money for a small figure since she is only around 16 centimeters or 18 centimeters. Okay, 18 cm is actually 1/6 scale given her height, but there are better figures of Anya out there. Up next, this is also early bird pre-order from Jujutsu Kaisen by Mei Mei by Atlas Studio, 1/4 scale. So is this going to cost only 450? That would be amazing if it is only maximum 450. And there is also a swimsuit version which I think will be cheaper, but I always advise you guys to go for the standard version, as I call it, like the standard outfit, instead of going for the skimpy bikini outfit, because that is just fan service and nothing else, right? And one of you guys who commented my video, you raised a really interesting point about you only buy standard versions of GKs because the limited versions, they come with all these extra parts which you don't even use or display, and you don't like keeping all these random parts lying around. And I can understand that sentiment, because that is the exact thing I really hate about Nendoroids and Figmas. Like, there are so many excess parts to keep an eye on, and yeah, not to lose them, you know? So imagine scale figures at 1x6 and 1x4, you don't have the space and you have all these extra parts lying around. So that is also one thing to think about before you go out and order the most expensive version of every GK figure you purchase, right? Moving on to the next one, this is, oh boy. Do you not have any idea how insane the response to this figure is on my Facebook page? Like, there are so many dry and horny people losing their minds when I posted this figure on my page. Clara from Honkai Star Rail by Arctic Wolf Studio. And Arctic Wolf Studio is the one that came up with that amazing figure of Silver Wolf, which got me really interested in. Like, they're really good in making people want their figure, just like Dodomo Studio and Nipipi Studio. Yeah, I can see this one selling really well. So the standard version is actually $249 or so, and you just need to add $30 for the so-called deluxe version, which you have guessed it, a nude body, right? So that is only an extra $30. I think you might as well go all out and go for the deluxe version, unless you don't want to have extra parts lying around. The face on this one, pretty nice, right? And I'm not going to click on the pictures that show an enlarged version of her backside, which is arguably the main feature, the main highlight of this figure, because YouTube is being such a dick. Yeah, the algorithm is annoying AF, right? Every week they screw my videos and then I need to appeal and get it overturned, which my success rate of having everything overturned is like 95-98%. Yeah, but apparently it is not just nudity that is a problem to YouTube. The pose is also a problem. A very seductive, very X-rated pose like stretching your legs wide open. YouTube has a problem with it as well. So I need to skip past some of these pictures or even crop it off. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one over here. From Hinami Studio, we have Nefertari Vivi from One Piece, and this is only $100. Ah, very cheap. Yes, sitting pose 17 centimeters. This is at least 1x7 scale. Yeah, $100 is really cheap, and I really like the gold paint work on her chair over there. One Piece collectors, man, you guys have so many choices at really low prices. I actually envy One Piece collectors. Okay, the next one here, this is technically a dude, which I normally don't cover, but since this is Honkai Star Rail, yeah, I'm bringing it up on screen briefly. Very early bird pre-order, no price yet, Argenti from Rainbow Studio. I've never heard of Rainbow Studio before. And the face on this thing, oh, okay. Now it looks much better, because the smaller version of the image is not very clear. Yeah, we'll see what the final product is like. Feels like a male version of Mordred from FGO. Okay, moving on to the next one from Flyleaf Studio, we have Rukia Kuchiki from Bleach. Only $161. What is the height? Okay, so 28 centimeters, 1x6 scale. Pretty cheap, but I guess you can see why, right? The whole thing is just black in color. Yeah. With Bleach, I think Mega House made quite a number of their figures too, but whether they are rare or expensive nowadays, I'm not too sure, because I'm not paying attention to shonen stuff in general, you know? This is one of those lower tier garage kit figures, right? GK figures as I call them, even though they are not garage kits because they are already painted. Nice base. You see, the crystal base surrounding, the crystal parts surrounding the base looks quite nice, but the main base itself, yeah, it looks pretty cheaply made. Not surprising for $161, I think. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is the most expensive this week, I think. Innate Art Studio Ghost Blade Aeolian, $816 at 1x4 scale. Yeah, this is quite outstanding. But once again, there's no way I pay $800 for a statue unless I become really rich in the future. And wow, this is beautiful. The LED in the middle. Ooh. This is such a work of art, isn't it? Even her bag is amazing. Oh, I can only enjoy the pictures. Okay, moving on to the next one, early bird pre-order and only a teaser pic from In and IU Studio. We have Reiju from One Piece. They are not expecting this to exceed $141. Like, yeah, that is the range, maybe between $130 to $150. That is pretty cheap for a 1x6 scale figure, presumably. Yeah, 1x6 scale lying on this sofa or bed over here. Yeah, One Piece figures, they are always really cheap. Moving on to the next one, another early bird pre-order, Chlorine Day from Genshin Impact by Miyin Studio. Okay, Miyin Studio is also one of those few figure brands which I am keeping an eye on because I really like what they're making. I haven't purchased the figure from them yet, but I have seen pictures of their figures posted by other users and I am liking them quite a bit. So this is a brand that I'm paying an attention to. And here we only have a 3D render, no prototype pictures yet. I'm not going to click next picture because they are X-rated, so presumably there will be two versions of this figure, the safe and not safe for work ones, as usual. Up next, Boa Hancock from One Piece by Dream Studio, $229. That is actually for the 1x5 scale, right? Pop is actually 1x7. 1x7 scale is $188. 1x7, 188. 1x5 scale, $229. What the heck? $40 difference, go for the 1x5 scale. I don't care if you don't have the space. $40, you go for the one with the best value over here, right? Every week we get a new figure of Boa Hancock. There are so many of them. And this is the difference between 1x5 and 1x7. Such a huge difference, and the pricing is $188 and $229. That is $40 or $50 of difference. Of course, get the big one, right? I have no idea why the smaller one is so expensive. The smaller one should be like $150, or they should increase the price of the 1x5 scale. But still, I don't see a point over here. They should just cancel the 1x7 scale and sell only the 1x5 one. Moving on to the next one, Senjumaru Shutara from Bleach by LP Studio. So the regular version is $135. Deluxe version $172. Yeah, you're getting a nude body for the deluxe version, right? So we take a look at the first 3 or 4 pictures, quite safe over here. Very nice face, but that is about it. What is up with a Bleach character in office outfit? But I suppose I can say the same for pretty much every other franchise. You know, you have Yae Miko in office outfit. You have Honkai Star Rail characters too. What is the point, man? Nice face, but that is about it for this figure. Moving on to the next one, we have 2 Pokemon figures. Okay, Licia from STS Studio, 1x8 scale for $113. And the face on this one looks terrible. Like, what the hell, man? This looks terrible. No idea what is going on over here. Okay, and also we have Erika, which looks quite a bit better. 1x8 scale for $125. 1x20 scale, why bother, right? Go for the 1x8 scale. Yeah, the face on this one looks so much better than Erika earlier. And the last figure for today, yeah, go and check out the figure yourself in this website. Genshin Impact Yae Miko from Arctic Wolf Studio, $259 for 1x6 scale, right? It is mentioned 1x4 there, that is incorrect. It is a typo. Look at the promotional images, it is mentioned 1x6 scale. But $259 for 1x6 scale is kind of normal price for a 1x6 resin figure nowadays. And yeah, this thing is so provocative that I couldn't put on screen, but that face over there, people are going to hit the pre-order button just for the face over here. The problem with this figure of Yae Miko is the body proportion is incorrect, like her bust size is not as big as depicted by this figure, but hey, people who buy this figure, people who buy stuff like this, they don't care, right? They just want something really lewd for their personal enjoyment. And that is all for resin figures on pre-order this week. Nothing interesting, isn't it? Only that Clara figure from Honkai Star Rail earlier, that is the one that is kind of attractive, but everything else felt kind of meh to me. Yeah, I mean, they are all in early bird stage, right? No prototype pictures yet, no product pictures yet, so we can't really judge too much. And yeah, that is all for figures on pre-order this week. Which one will you pre-order? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure news as well as reviews. Yeah, the figure I delayed on reviewing last week, which is Lancer Brunhilde from FGO. Yeah, it is coming very soon within this week. Until then, I'll see you guys again very soon, and goodbye.